three generations of her family would go to concentration camp for her crime. So they get rid of the concept of liberty, human rights, freedom, and friends, even depression. And how do you fight to be free when you don't know you're a slave? In North Korea, literally what you say, just not gonna kill yourself. It's gonna kill up to 3 to 8 generations of your family. So I remember the first thing my mom taught me as a young girl was watch out what you say. If there are 3 people, like I watch you, you watch somebody. So like I'm being watched, I'm watching somebody. But if that person not gonna report to me, that person also being watched. So you cannot like escape that. You have to report on each other. And that's how regime creates distrust between people. That my mom heard from the uncle that she knew, some friend that she knew, that the dear leader Kim Il-sung, he didn't die from the exhaustion. He died from heart attack. And the regime was telling us that Kim's died from working so hard for the people, the well-being of the people. And I literally believed that growing up in North Korea that dear leader was starving and he would not sleep well. He was working so hard for us, and how lucky that we are. We have such a great leader. So my mom's case was really lucky, and she had young children, so she was begging them, and she never had committed any that kind of offense before. But if she was saying it, just like would that be possible, something like that kind of a nuance, then she would be executed. And then the 3 generations of her family would go to concentration camp for her crime. It's called by guilt by association. So the fact that you're being associated with that person, that you are guilty automatically. In North Korea, there's no word for friends. We have a word for comrade though, but it's a different thing. Like comrade means you are working for the revolution. You share the same goal of the revolution, the glory of the party. So now regime removed a lot of concept from us, like love. We don't know what love is. Like I never seen anybody saying love to each other. The only love that people are allowed to know is that love for the dear leader. So if you get rid of this liberty, human rights, freedom, and friends, even depression, right? I don't know what depression is. I don't even know what stress is, because how can you be stressed in a socialist paradise? So they don't put that word for you. That's what the ultimate mind control looks like. When the Soviets collapsing, and then they were stopped subsidizing North Korea's economy, right? And North Korean regime was like, okay, we are not gonna feed people. So there are 10% of the population living in capital. And in North Korea, there are hierarchy between people. We have 50 different classes. What an irony, they began with the most equal society in the world, which is a communist, and they created 51 actually classes in between people with the same Koreans. As a North Korean, you have no freedom to even go to next town without the travel permit. North Koreans' dream is not like traveling to Europe in their life. They don't even know what Europe is. Their dream is going to their own capital in their life. So the regime thought, okay, as long as we keep this 10%, the core class that supports the revolution, then we are good. That's how they measure their success. We're going to keeping the only 10% alive, and until the 90% all die, we don't need to do anything about it. And then Kim Jong-il said, oh, it's easy to do socialism when there are less people. So he wanted to die out. He wanted us to cleanse population through the starvation. Like in North Korea, as an average person, right? You eat the lunch, but then you worry about dinner. So every single minute of your existence, you are worrying about your survivor, worrying about finding food. So when you are worrying about your own survivor every single minute, you're not going to think about what is freedom. But it's a torture. It's being starved is worse than being raped. It's the worst form of torture you can experience. That's how the regime using this starvation as a tool to controlling these millions and millions of North Koreans in this 21st century. Like the one missile test that Kim Jong-un does each time costs the money that he can feed entire 25 millions a year. He did 30 tests since 2017. North Korea is poor. No, North Korea is not poor. The regime just choose not to feed people. Before you're born, your life is determined for you based on what your great-great-grandfather did. It determines what city do you live in, where do you go to even school, do you become a farmer, do you become a factory man or going to university, right? So depending on the caste, it doesn't matter what you want to do. Nobody owns themselves in North Korea. Like I don't even have the right to decide what I want to wear in North Korea. So you get executed for watching a foreign film and giving it to your friends. You get sent to prison by wearing jeans. The song that you listen to, the book that you read, even clothes, even maybe like haircut, you don't get to decide. The regime decides every single thing for you. I grew up in South Korea almost like 15, 16 years old. And then they told me, well, Americans are not bastards, right? They're not colonizing South Koreans. They are good people. And whatever you believe in North Korea, everything was lie. So believe us, what I'm telling you is true. And that's when I read The Animal Farm by George Orwell. And that just explained to me what happened to my people, what happened to my country. You see all those animals in the beginning, they knew what the truth was. And then there's a fear. Then they keep in silence. And then when it comes to young animals, they are so dumb. They don't even know what the alternative life looked like. I had no idea what the life was like before Kim's or before Communist Revolution. True oppression, true isolation is like North Koreans. They don't even know that they are isolated. And I think this is the saddest thing for my people is that they don't even know they are slaves. And how do you fight to be free when you don't know you're a slave?